Hey, so today we are talking about Lopper by Andrew MacLean and Mike Spicer. Well, specifically the Lopper series and Andrew MacLean's work. So Lopper is basically an adventure set of books, and it's by a guy called Andrew MacLean. He's based in Massachusetts, and he draws and writes and then uses a separate colorist. So that's what Mike Spicer's done for this book. There is also a second book. So the first book is called Lopper and the Island, or A Plague of Beasts. And the second is called Lopper and the Crimson Tower, and is using Jordie Bellaire to do the colouring on that one. Now, Lopper is basically this big Norse guy. He's kind of like a Norse Thanos, if you can imagine that. He's basically a big Viking dude with a giant sword, and he lops off heads. I mean, hence the title. What do you want to know? But basically, he's kind of a nomad. He travels around, and in the first book, I'm not going to spoil anything in this video, by the way. In the first book, he's basically employed by the Queen to kind of rid this island of an evil sorcerer. And basically, it's kind of a bit of a tale where there's kind of other soldiers going on, maybe some double crossing, some interesting shenanigans. Oh, another thing that makes this great is he's got a sidekick. I've almost forgot to mention. Agatha the Blue Witch kind of makes this book. So he's carrying this head of this witch that he's lopped, because he's, over the course of the two books, he's supposed to just be delivering her somewhere or taking her somewhere. And yeah, they basically just have this kind of treacherous relationship where you don't know if she's going to double cross him, and she's got this power to kind of, well, do all kind of witchery things and get them out of scrapes somehow, but you don't know whether he trusts her or he doesn't know whether to trust her, and that relationship kind of just really ups the book. And yeah, it makes it way more three-dimensional than you'd think from just like a fairly mute kind of big, Thanos like God of War like guy. And then in the second book, Lopper is basically going to this thing called the Crimson Tower. And basically, the Crimson Tower is kind of like a temple. So there's all of these different champions who are going to try and slay the evil that's inside the Crimson Tower. So there's this really cool kind of ensemble cast that happens in the Crimson Tower book. There's all the kind of the different motivations and where they come from and bits of their backstory, and maybe not everybody's going to make it. But yeah, again, no spoilers. And what I love about these books, and what I love about Andrew MacLean's style, is it's really simple, and it's kind of non-traditional. It doesn't look like traditional comics. It's very reminiscent of Mike Mignola's style, or Mike Mignola, I'm not sure how to pronounce that, who does Hellboy. So if you love those books, then you're sure to kind of love this. And also because it's kind of got that Norse vibe to it. A lot of the kind of characterizations and creatures and things that are in these books really reminded me of Tove Jansson's Moomins. If you ever read or watched that, I used to watch that as a cartoon as a kid. And it always had these really kind of dark, creepy things that gave me nightmares, which I actually kind of really loved. And another great thing about Andrew MacLean's kind of use of space in the book is how he kind of deals with panels. He does this great thing where, between different panels, there are just things that happen in terms of like one movement is kind of echoed over a few panels. So you might see like a head bouncing, or, like a sword kind of flying through the air. And then in the next panel or over the page, you kind of see what happens. So he has this really great sense of pacing and use of space. And he's really good at kind of removing dialogue where there doesn't need to be any, and you just want to kind of like see the action played out. And so I really kind of love him for that. I can't recommend these books highly enough. And another one that I do want to point out, also by Andrew MacLean, is Apocalyptic Girl, an aria for the end times. So if you really enjoyed Lopper, or if you haven't heard of him before, I started out with Apocalyptic Girl. It's a really good, slightly shorter story, slightly smaller form book as well. But it's awesome. It's like a Mad Max meets Miyazaki. It's about a girl and her cat, and who doesn't love a cat? Dog people probably. And she's got this robot, and there's this bunch of people who she's faced with in this post-apocalyptic world, and she's basically got the bike from Akira, pretty much. And it's just awesome. It's everything you'd want from a short story about a post-apocalyptic weird environment. And she has the gun from Aliens as well. Let's not beat around the bush. There's some great points of reference and homage going on in this book. So yeah, Headlopper and Apocalyptic Girl, Image Comics for Headlopper and Dark Horse for Apocalyptic Girl. Highly recommend you check it out. That's it. Go read something.